Hello, and welcome to the Creative Mojo podcast. I'm Joanne, and this is episode number 11, and I'm filming today on Saturday, June 11th. Welcome back for all returning viewers, and if you're new and checking out the podcast for the first time, welcome to you as well, and I hope that you'll enjoy what you see and perhaps come back again another time and subscribe to my YouTube channel and all that good stuff. So, what do we want to talk about today? I hope that you all had a really good and productive week. I had a bit of a crazy week, actually. This week, just lots going on. I had some deadlines coming up for some stuff at work that I was really, really busy with. And starting to do prep on our trip. I mentioned last week that we're going on a trip to Scotland in early July with my family. And excuse me. And actually following that, my husband and I are actually going to be out on the West Coast for a while in late July and early August as well. So lots of prep for that and planning and stuff like that. So, and plus it was also really hot earlier this week, or really hot, as I mentioned last week, hot for here in Alberta. And I find it difficult. I'm not a hot or super cold weather girl. My favorite times of year tend to be spring and fall. I like nice moderate temperatures, which it is today, which is fantastic. But yeah, earlier in the week it got quite hot, and our house gets really hot. And this time of year here, it doesn't get dark until close to 10 o'clock at night. So that's a lot of hours, and it gets light at about 6 a.m., somewhere around there. So that's a lot of hours for a hot sun to beat on the roof, and our house heats up, and we don't have air conditioning, and don't get a great cross breeze in the house. So trying to keep the house cool is a bit of a chore. We generally get up early, open all the windows and doors as much as possible, get as much cool air, put fans on, get as much cool air into the house, and then kind of close it down by about 10 o'clock in the morning. And excuse me, I shouldn't be drinking a diet soda while I'm recording, clearly. But yeah, then we sort of try and close the house down to keep the cooler air in, and some days that works better than others. But the tough thing for me when it gets hot like that is I don't handle it very well, and I get kind of cranky, and I don't feel like knitting, which is tough. I mean, I feel like knitting, but I don't feel like actually handling any kind of woolly fibers or anything like that. And so my knitting was a bit sporadic this week, but I'll show you what I have been working on. So I spent some time working on the test knit that I've talked about the last two episodes, and I'm not going to bother to show you that today because I can't really show you that until I get permission from Christine, who's the designer. This is a shawl for Christine of the Yarnings podcast, and hopefully in another week or two, I'm close to finished it, so hopefully in another week or two she'll be ready to be at a place where she may be showing it off on her podcast, and I can show you the finished result of that. But the other thing that I worked on quite a bit the last 2 days is I joined the Shawl Society, which is it's a 6-month special shawl pattern release from Helen Stewart, the Curious Handmaid, and you join that. You buy the 6-month subscription, and you get 6 shawl patterns, one released a month, and there's discounts on some yarns and coupons and other kinds of things, but mostly you get a bunch of her fantastic patterns. And I have been working on a couple of her patterns recently and really, really enjoy them, and I enjoy the way her patterns are written. She does a sheet where you can check off every row, and it tells you for every row how many stitches you should have, and at certain points it gives you percentage marks, so you can keep track of whether you're on track with the amount of yardage that you have, and if you have more, you can do some extra repeats and all that kind of stuff. So the first pattern release came out on Thursday, and I immediately went, oh yeah, I'm going to like this one. So I balled up some yarn, and I did a little bit of work on it. Thursday, mostly I was doing work, but I did a little bit on the evening, and then I did a bunch yesterday as well, and I made some pretty good progress. I'm what am I? I'm at 30% of the shawl, which is pretty good for kind of a day and a half's worth of knitting. I'll show you a picture of what it's going to look like, which I feel is a little bit cruel because this pattern isn't available unless you're in the Shawl Society for a while. It will become available to the rest of the knitters, but it's this is what it looks like in black and white, of course. But it's really, really pretty, and she's designed it so that you can do it with one skein, or there's 3 sizes, so you can do it with one skein, or you can do it with more yardage and get 2 larger sized shawls. I decided to do the one skein version. I tend to like sometimes those lighter weight one skein shawls. I wore them more like a scarf and they're nice. They're good for light weather, sort of scarf, spring, fall, that kind of thing. So I balled up the skein yarn that I showed you last week on the podcast, and it's some yarn that I got from the Skein Yarn Color Club, Sock Yarn Club that I'm in, and this is what it looks like in the ball. It's so pretty. I'm just in love with this color. It's called Wonderment. It's her top draw sock base, which is 230 yards, and it's 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon, and it's really soft. Her yarn base is similar. If you've never used her yarn, but if you are familiar with like Hedgehog, it's got that Hedgehog sock. It's got that same kind of beautiful softness to it that Hedgehog does. And it makes for a very light and airy sort of shawl, especially at a slightly lighter gauge. I've used it for all kinds of things. I've used it for socks, and at a denser gauge it holds up decently for socks. But this is knit on a 4mm needle, so it is very light and airy, and this is how much I have so far, which I said is not, it's hard to show you, of course, because it's on the needles, but see if I can hold this up in a way that shows you this pretty pattern and this pretty yarn. It's a pretty simple and straightforward shawl with what's mostly stockinette, and it's got these lovely little sort of, she calls them stars. Let's see if I can see that. These little sort of stars here every, I don't know, about 10 rows maybe, something like that. And then it's going to have a little tiny bit of a lace border, and then it has a picot bind off. So it's going to be a very, as I said, pretty lightweight summer shawl, and in these colors. This yarn is knitting up so beautifully. There's pinks, there's like a bunch of different sort of pale to sort of hot pink in it, and there's purples from sort of a dark purple through to a kind of fuchsia, and then there's blue, everything from kind of pops of, if I can show you, some pops of bright blue in there through to sort of paler blue and darker blue. And then the background of it is, there's some gray kind of and cream, and in different lights it looks, actually the background looks different colors, looks sort of gray sometimes, or taupe, or cream. You can see all those different, there's so much different color. This gives you a good idea of the kind of variegation in the background color there. So it's turning out really pretty, and I'm really enjoying this. And like I said, I kind of just powered through the first 30% of the shawl in about a day and a half, and then forced myself to put it down and go back to my test knit, because I really want to get that finished. But that is coming along. I think this will, as long as I don't lose track, as long as I kind of don't get distracted, if I stick onto this as soon as I finish the test knit, this is going to knit up really quick. So I'm loving that. I don't know if you can still join the Shawl Society or not, but you can check it out on Ravelry under Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade, and if you can, I highly recommend it. It's a great price to get 6 shawl designs. So really enjoying that. So what else did I work on? Well, I did a little bit of work on a couple pairs of socks, and I'm going to show you that. And while I was sort of being hot and feeling like I didn't want to knit anything, and sort of picking up a sock and doing a little bit of work on that, picking up another sock, and I was watching some podcasts, and several podcasters have some different sock knit-alongs kind of going on, and they're Bakery Bears has this Summer of Socks, I think they're calling it. That's all about finishing up socks that you can do whips, you can start new socks, but you can also do whips. And the Grocery Girls have I think it's called a single socks of summer or something like that. That's just about to start and go all the way through the rest of the summer into the beginning of September. And that's also a cal that's sort of designed to get you to finish up socks that you maybe got half done and languishing around. So, and there's also a group, actually, Sock Knitters Anonymous on Ravelry, which is a group I've been a member of for a long time and used to be a lot more active in that than I have been in the last year or so. But they do, in August, they do a cal that's all about finishing whips as well. And I've done that in the past. And it's actually a competition of who can finish the most whips. And the only, if I remember correctly, I think the only rules there are that it has to be a sock that you started before July. It can be as old as you want, and they can actually be pretty much as finished. You know, you can probably be down to just the toe on the second sock or whatever, but they have to be something that you started before the beginning of July. And that cal runs all through August. Again, that's the Sock Knitters Anonymous group on Ravelry. And as I said, I participated. I didn't do it last summer, but the couple of summers before that I did. And you finish as many socks as you can, and you're sort of racing to beat whoever won the cal last year. So I won it 3 years ago, I guess, by finishing 9 pairs, I think, or 10 pairs of socks in the month of August. So all this stuff is going on, and it made me think I should really kind of take stock of all of the socks, half-finished socks that I have lying around, because I have a lot of them lying around. And today I'm going to show you them. I think I'm going to call this episode My Dirty Little Secret, because I'm going to show you my dirty little secret of all the sock projects that I have lying around. Some of them are recent, and I've shown them on the podcast before, and some of them are pretty old. Some of them are a couple of years old. And I'm going to try, that's my goal for the summer, is to put a big dent in these piles of half-finished socks. I feel like I have a short attention span, is I guess honestly what it is, and my husband would probably agree with me when I say that. I get interested in something and I dive into it, but then I can lose interest pretty quickly, and that happens to me a lot with socks. I'm terrible for second sock syndrome. I will enjoy knitting the first sock, and then I will want to knit something else, and I will want to play with some other pretty yarn, and most of them get finished eventually. Eventually I pull them out. Every once in a while there's ones that sit around too long, or that I frog, or, you know. So 1 or 2 of these that I'm going to show you, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. But anyway, so the ones that I actually worked on this week are this is a pair of opal socks that I'm knitting, just a pair of vanilla socks that I'm knitting in the Opal Smile series. I love opal yarn for socks. I have made lots of opal yarn socks, and I have lots more opal in my stash. This is the yarn. It's really pretty. Blues and purples and grays, really. And here's the beginning of a sock. I'm like 2/3 of the way through the heel flap, I guess. And I picked this up this week. I was there where the little orange thing is, so I knit from there up and into the heel flap, and then the Shawl Society pattern came out, and I put this down and started that. But so that's kind of pair number 1, and those, like I said, did get worked on a bit this week. The other one that did get a little bit of work this week are my 2 at a time socks that I'm doing from the Gail's Art sock blank. Shown you this before. I'm not going to put, by the way, I don't think I'm going to put all the sock patterns and info on the screen. I may put some, I don't know, we'll see when I get to my little editing that I do, but I'm going to show you a lot of socks today. So, but they will all be in the show notes, which is in the Creative Mojo Ravelry group, and on the thread for this particular episode number 11. So I will link all the sock patterns there that I'm going to show, in case you're interested, and the yarns. So, yeah, I did a little more just past the heel. I think when I showed it to you last week, I had just completed the heel, and I probably added 1/2 inch, not all that much. But so there's those. Again, if I knuckle down on these, they shouldn't take too long now that I'm into the foot and can just motor along on them. I have lots and lots of the sock blank left. Like I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the leftovers. Maybe some of it will go into my sock blanket, but I still have all of that. Isn't that pretty? And I want to get some more sock blanks, but I am holding off because I have so much other stuff to knit. At some point though, I think I'll get some more sock blanks. So those are the two I did a little bit of work on this week. And then there are a bunch of these socks that I have shown on the podcast recently that have not had any more work but need some work. This is the Daenerys sock by Cookie A. This lovely heavily cabled pattern. I showed the picture of it last week. Those have not got any more work. I'm knitting these out of Becoming Art in her agave base, which is a cashmere, merino nylon cashmere. Really, really pretty. And this color is called, here's her card, Winter Silence. So that's pair number 3. I'm going to try not to go too fast through all of these, but as I said, some of these I have talked about in previous episodes. So I'll spend a little more time on the ones I haven't shown you before. Pair number 4 is these BFL 2-color vanilla socks that I showed you that I have 1 sock done and have yet to start sock number 2. This I think I'm probably going to take, these I may hold off on for a little bit. These are great like plain knitting project or something for travel, so that very well may wait and go. I like to take vanilla socks usually when I'm traveling on a plane, in a car, all those kind of things, because they're so mindless and you can just knit away wherever. And yes, I always do knit on planes. I've never had any kind of problem. I usually do, I knit on wooden knitting needles most of the time anyway, so it's not a problem, but I do take wooden needles for sure when I take needles on a plane just to avoid any conflict, but I've never had any kind of problem. So that's pair number 4. All right, pair number 5. And that, by the way, I will talk a little bit about the bags. That's my beautiful Lone Larch bag from Jenny of the Lone Larch podcast. If you can see her little tag there. I love this bag so much. Some of these are my bags. I'm not going to bother. I think the other 2 I showed you. This one is a Suburban Stitcher bag, which I also really, really like. I use this one a lot. This is a Slip Stitch Studios it's her little sock bag. These are great. These are sort of was my inspiration for the sock bags I make. Mine are a bit bigger than this, but I have several of these and really like them. Now this project, as I think I talked about this last week, but I didn't show it. So everybody on a lot of, well, not everybody, but a lot of podcasters have been knitting with, and a lot of people on Instagram have been knitting with the 9-inch circular needles, and I thought I should give those a try. So I bought a couple of 9-inch circular needles. This is not my needle of choice, I don't think. I'm going to stick with this a little bit longer and see if I can get any faster, but this is how much sock this was probably like 3 hours of knitting or something, and I have that much of a sock, which is crazy. 3 hours of knitting on Magic Loop, which is what I like to do. I'd be almost to, certainly probably close to the heel turn. I'm just so slow on this. I find, I'll show you, it's just it's this part of not having anything to hold, and the stitches just don't, like, that's the speed with which I can knit on these little buggers, which I feel like I said to somebody on Instagram the other day that I feel like I am, like I'm knitting for the first time when I knit on these. I feel like the way I sort of felt when I was just learning to knit on double points and trying to manage all those needles. And it's partially because I can't make the stitches move around and maybe it's because these are bamboo. These are Hayas, but I couldn't find any Haya metal. I couldn't find, the only metal double points I could find, or not double points, 9-inch circs that I could find, and I didn't go to all local yarn stores in the area, but the one I went to, they did have some Addy metal ones, but those are 8-inch instead of 9-inch. So I feel like those would be even harder because they're smaller. I don't know. I may try those and see if the stitches just slip around a little bit easier on the metal. I don't know. But so yeah, little super slow. Again, I suppose I could take this on the plane, but I suspect I would find this so frustrating because it's so slow and my hands kind of cramp up a bit as well. So we shall see. This is another skein. These socks, this is another skein of Becoming Art. It's her Cielo fingering. I don't think she actually makes this base anymore, which is a shame because it's one of my favorites. It's 100% superwash merino. But it's pretty sturdy. I've made several pairs of socks that I wear. One of my favorite pairs that I wear a lot is out of this base. And even though there's no nylon in it, I did get a hole in the toe once, but that's because I snagged it on something. And I just ripped out the toe and I had some yarn left over. I re-knit the toe and haven't had another hole in them since. And like I said, I wear them lots. So they hold up really well for me anyway, even without any nylon. And it's really pretty. This color is called Cherry Tart. See, it is all the colors of like cherry filling and pastry, really. It's reds and like pinks, reds and pinks, and then there's golds and browns, and you can see in the way that it's doing a little bit of pooling, but pretty pooling there. It's really nice. So these, I suspect these may get transferred to Magic Loop at some point, but as I said, I am going to stick with it a little longer and see if it gets any easier, although I'm having my doubts. So that's pair number 5. Pair number 6. It just goes on and on. It's crazy. Haven't shown these in a while because I haven't done any work on them in a while. These are my Hedera cookie. It's a cookie A pattern, my Hedera socks. I'm doing for a bunch of cows. I'm going to try and knock these out in the next couple of weeks because most of those cows end at the end of June, and I really do want to get this completed. That's a good sort of goal. This is in a Cyborg's craft room, a sparkleate base. You can see there's lovely sparkle in there, which is really pretty. The colorway is Where Dreams Become Reality. So just finished the heel flap there and just a little ways into the gusset. These are pretty quick knit, so I don't really have any good excuse other than I've been working on other things. So, and that is just the first sock. So that would be pair number 6, I think. I keep looking at my pile here on the floor as I toss these to the floor after I show them to you. Most of my socks that I am not working on live in this beautiful bag that was gifted to me by my friend Pat. Terrible. I don't know if I can remember the name of the designer. I can't, and there doesn't seem to be a label in it. Is there? Oh, yes, there is. It's the label says Vera Bradley. Anyway, it's a beautiful quilted bag. I really like this. I often travel with it. It makes a great kind of carry-on bag. It's got a little closure at the top, a little toggle sort of closure. It's got some pockets inside, and it's a nice size, and I love it. So I keep this usually in the living room by where I knit, and this is where sock projects that I abandon, basically, at least temporarily abandon, generally live in here. So what did I say? Pair number 6. So this is pair number 7, which I showed way back and have not done anything on. This is, to look at my notes, and I did write a bunch of these down. These are the Samwise socks by Claire Ellen. They're part of her Lord of the Rings series. A very complex but very pretty pattern. You can see the start of the X's and O cables. That's the back of the sock, and then it's a completely different pattern in the front. And then there's this is seed stitch all the way up the side. These are a bit slow going because there's 2 charts. You're working from one for the front and one from the back for the back. And as I said, it is a fairly complex pattern. See, there are these little tiny cables that run up the outside here too. But this is going to be these are fun to knit. It just takes a fair amount of concentration. They're not really TV knitting. Or if I do try to knit them while I watch TV, I either am not paying very much attention to the TV or I'm going very slow on these. So again, these are the Samwise socks by Claire Ellen, and the yarn for this is Old Maiden Ant, which is another 100% superwash. I think this is yarn. I think she lives in Scotland now. I think she's actually Canadian, but she lives in Scotland, which is cool for her. And the color is Buttermint, and it's just beautiful. So yeah, those need some work too. So what did I say? I think that's pair number 7. Pair number 8. Oh, there's lots more. This is, I have not done much color work. This is one of the few of the areas of knitting that I have not done very much of. And I really want to do more color work and get better at it. And I thought colorwork socks were a great place to practice it. I started these early in the new year, I think, and did a little bit on them and was really enjoying them actually. But then we went to Mexico in January, and I think I'd started these just before we went on that trip. And I didn't take these with me. I felt like I wanted stuff that was a little more mindless for vacation knitting. So there you can see one side of that. I think that's the back, I think. And this is the front. This is a pattern called Butterflies Are Free. It's designed by Yvette Knoll. You've probably seen her patterns on Ravelry. She did the, if you've looked at colorwork socks, like the Water for Elephant socks was very, very popular. That's one of hers. It has a turned cuff, a picot cast on, and sort of a turned cuff there. They're not all that slow. My biggest challenge with colorwork, especially on Magic Loop, is always here, not to get that to pucker too much. I don't think it's too bad. I think it'll block out okay, and they seem huge to me a bit in size, but that's remembering that colorwork does not stretch due to the floats the way that socks normally would. Floats look pretty good. I can show you the inside. I don't think they're too tight. So yeah, I gotta spend some more time on these. I was really enjoying working on these, and it was only that was only like 2 evenings worth of work, I think, to get to there, which is not bad. The yarn for these, I'm using these 2 lovely bright colors, good contrast, and they are, have the wrong label in there. They are Koigu. I don't know, for some reason I have a Knit Pick Stroll label in there, but that's not what that is. This is Koigu Painter's Palette, I think. You've probably seen Koigu in local yarn stores. It's actually Canadian yarn, I do believe. But they have a fantastic range of solid colors. They have some really lovely speckles and variegated as well, and I've used those before, but they're hard. It's nice. It's soft, but it's a good wearing yarn for, I think pretty sure there's nylon in it. But they have a fantastic range of colors for color work and stuff. So yeah, and these are living in one of my absolute all-time favorite sock bags. Yeah, unfortunately, because this has been hibernating since January, I haven't used this bag, and I should swap bags around so I can use this again, because I love this bag so much. This is a Stitch by Jessalou little box bag with Where the Wild Things Are on it. I just love it. This tends to be the bag that I take with me when I'm working, when I take simple knitting projects to work with me, because it's soft enough, it squishes up and goes into my bag for work. It's got the little handle on it, which makes it easy to transport around, but it sits nicely. The box bags are great for that. It sits nicely at my desk where I'm working, and I can just sort of open it up enough to feed the yarn out, and it's not going to move around or roll away or anything like that because of its construction. I love this bag. I have a number of box bags, and I haven't used many of them in a while, but This is my all-time favorite. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that's 8. 9. Some of these are now like, what's in the bag? It surprised me. Oh, some striped socks that I knit, before Christmas. This is Nomadic Yarns, which you're probably familiar. Nomadic Yarns does the most fantastic stripe. This is her Twisty Sport base in the colorway Grinchmas. Yeah, these are sort of Christmas socks in terms of their color, you can see. And sport weight, which is super fun because they knit up fast. Although I was a little worried. I'm a little worried that I'm not quite going to have enough yarn. I should have made probably the leg a tiny bit shorter on this than I did. We'll see. I think these weigh like exactly the same, the ball and the sock. So hopefully I can squeak out the second sock without too much difficulty. Fingers crossed, because that could put a serious dent in finishing that project. But anyway, so yeah, that one's Nomadic Yarns. That's a, as I said, just a plain vanilla sock. So soft. Is this 80/20 superwash merino nylon? This is in another box bag, which comes from Zigzag Stitches. I have quite a few of her box bags. These are fun. Sounds fun with little socks on it. That would be project number 9. Sock project number 9. Number 10 on the Great Sock Countdown. I showed these my second episode maybe. Again, a single sock, monkey sock. So pretty. This yarn is Western Sky Knits. Yeah. Western Sky Knits. Hand dyed in Montana. There are 2 dyers to Western Sky Knits, and one's in Montana, and I think the other one's in California. But this comes from Kim, who's the dyer who lives in Montana. Again, I love her stuff, and this is in the Twinkle sock, which is a 75 merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. Oh, how beautiful is that? Perfect for monkeys. And I'm just trying to see if the colorway is on here. Oh, Pretty Bird. That color is called Pretty Bird. So there's one sock of that and a potential second sock there. So that would be number 10. Number 11. These are knit quite, this was knit I should say. This was knit quite a while ago. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I should finish the second one. This is one sock. It's not even in a bag. I tried the skew pattern, which is super fun. If you don't know that pattern, you should check it out. It's a toe up construction, but it's an unusual construction knit on the bias, as you can see. Originally, I thought I was making these for me, but they turned out too big, too long in the foot before I had not an experienced toe up knitter particularly, and I wasn't sure, especially with the unusual construction, where to start the heel. So I started the heel a little too late, and the foot is definitely too long for my foot, but they do fit my husband. So, and he would wear these. He thought they were kind of funky. But yeah, so there's only one as the others. The yarn that this pretty yarn, striped yarn that I'm using is Biscottian Sea, their Felix base, a Canadian dyer as well out of Montreal. And this color is called Sorcerer's Robe. So that's number 11 without its bag. So that was everything that was living up here in the living room. Then I went downstairs to my craft and sort of craft storage room. Right now it's not a room I can craft in. Number 1, it's in the basement and it's a bit dark. I need some better lighting in there. But number 2, it's so full of stuff. It's got a lot of my work stuff because I often work from home. It's got all my knitting stuff, all my sewing stuff. 2/3 of my stash is in there. Some of it's out in shelves that are outside that room, and then it's got like our luggage and others. It's full, and it just keeps getting fuller. So, but I went down there, and in this great big huge bag, this is a bag that came with a sweater quantity yarn order, I think, from my favorite dyer, Kristen of Skein Yarn. in this great big huge bag are a bunch of older projects. None of them in project bags because I didn't want to stick my bags in here, but some of them not in bags at all, and a lot of them in Ziploc bags. That's what that word I was looking for. So here is a pair, the start, actually, sock number 1 only. This is also opal. Oh, I can't remember, and I don't have the tags. Like I said, it's not even in a bag. It was just shoved in there like this. But it's one of their, oh, I can't remember. This one I will try and look up the name of the series from this yarn if I can find it and put it on here. If you don't see it on here, it's because I couldn't even find it. I don't know if these are even on my Ravelry project page. But anyway, it is an opal yarn. These are socks I started for my husband. It's really pretty, very nice, manly colors. I think as I've mentioned before, he's great because he will wear pretty much any socks I knit him in any color of yarn. I don't think he'd like sparkle. I don't think he'd particularly care for lace, and he might not want pink. Oh, sorry, it just got dark in here. It's been a weird day outside. It's been bright and sunny, and then it's clouded over and looked like it's going to rain, and then it gets bright and sunny again. So obviously right now it's clouded over a bit again. So my apologies for the light kind of coming and going. But anyway, see how pretty those are. And this again, like the other opal socks I showed you, is halfway through the heel flap. So that would be number 12. Number 13. These are socks I knit. This is a sock I knit 3 summers ago on a trip. We drove down to California in the summer of 2013, I think. My husband's from California originally, and that's where his mother and some of the rest of his family, a couple of his brothers and stuff, live in California, in Lancaster. And so we decided to take a road trip and drive down to see them, particularly to see his mother. And so I did a lot of knitting in the car on the way there and back, and this was one of the projects that I worked on. These are really pretty. This is Callaway? No. Yes, Callaway sock by Cookie A is this pattern, and the yarn is Hazel Knits Artisan Sock in the color, what's this color called? It should be on my note somewhere, saffron. Let me see, so this like yellowy orangey, really cheerful color, and this is a fun pattern that combines lace and cables, as you can see. One sock got done. The second sock did actually get cast on. I'm a little worried. I have gone down a needle size in general on my socks since I was knitting this one. So this is on a 2.5 needle. I mostly do 2.25 or 2 millimeter now. So we shall see if I go back to I should go back to these. These were fun to knit and not particularly hard. But let's see if my gauge has changed that much. And that's the pretty yarn. Pretty. Such a nice color. So, what did I say that was? 13, I think I said. 14. Another and pair, old pair. Also for my husband. Geez, I'm just realizing, my poor husband, there's a lot of socks for him laying in bags that he'd probably like to wear. Actually, I don't know, maybe these weren't for him. Maybe these are for me. Again, so pretty. I'll have to figure out what the stitch count is on these and figure out whether these are for him or for me. These are obviously not quite so old because these are on a 2.25 millimeter. Just a basic vanilla sock, and it's a crazy Zauber ball. No idea. Again, I don't have any tags, so I can't tell you what the colorway is. But if you've knit with these, they're really fun. They look like hand spun when you knit them up, although much more even and consistent certainly than my hand spun is. But those would be good socks to take on holiday with me as well, I guess. I see 14, 15. The shame goes on. Another pair of, a lot of things that I have laying around, clearly. Cookie A. I've told you I like Cookie A socks, and I've knit many of her patterns. I've also half knit many of her patterns. It's because they tend to be a challenge, and I get in the mood for that, and then I get busy and I don't always have time to work on challenging projects, and they get left by the wayside for a bit, and then I forget about them or lose interest. But this is another Cookie A pattern. See if you can see that. Yeah, pattern there. This is the with Callaway were the other ones. This is the rhombus sock, and this is out of Sheep's Paint, which is a German. I don't think she dyes anymore, which is a shame because her stuff is really pretty. This is a BFL sock in the color Black Lily, and that's all there is of that one. Oh, I'm looking at my time here and thinking, getting close to the end. So I'm going to kind of whip through. So that was 15, 16. Oh, this is a Hunter Hammerson, who's another fantastic sock designer with beautiful, challenging, complex patterns. Look how pretty that is. This pattern is called Gordas. It's from her Silk Road Socks, which I think was her first pattern sock book. A beautiful, beautiful pattern. This is also in Sheep's Paint. This color is Fruit Sorbet. There's one sock of this, and these are one of the ones I don't know what to do with because it's small. I don't know if you can tell, but like that's a very narrow, and it's got these little 1 by 1 twisted rib, twisted stitch cables. So it's not super stretchy, and that's like definitely way too narrow for my ankles. So this went away mostly because I didn't know what to do. I need to find somebody who, like Cinderella, I need to find somebody whose foot this will fit and do the other sock and give it to them. Or may live with single sock. Maybe I will put it in a frame and mount it or something. I don't know, because there's probably enough yarn there to knit another pair of socks. So, who knows. That was 15 or 16. I'm losing count. 17. I think these ones are going to get frogged, actually. This is still back when I was, I think, knitting on double points. Are double points in here? It's in a needle holder, but these are like 5 years old or maybe more. This is another Zauberball. No tag. Yeah, I think I'm going to frog these and use this yarn again for something because it's nice, but I don't really have any desire to knit on this anymore. I was doing a ribbed leg all the way down. Yeah. So I think that was 16. I think this makes 17. Again, with a pair of socks from my husband. Also, these are on double points, but I think I just put them on double points because to hold them so I could take the needles out. The Noro, I've knit my husband a lot of pairs of Noro socks, and he really likes them. They don't wear as well, even though there's nylon in them. The way that Noro is constructed with sort of thick and thin spots, they do get holes in them. I've had to darn his Noro socks. That's the rest of the ball. You can kind of see the colors. Hold it the right way. Yeah. What did I say, 17? 18, this big bag. I got on a craze for a while of doing these scrap yarn socks. And I knit one. It's very pretty. I knit a whole pair of these in blue colors. And then I did this one in sort of reds and oranges, obviously. And then kind of lost interest in that. So there's all of that. I should do that. I think I said 18, 19. These ones I'm going to finish up. These are really actually very pretty. This pattern is also a Hunter Hammerson. This is called Lycina Virgoria, I do believe. She gives Latin names to a lot of her socks. This is from one of her Curiosity Cabinet books, the first one, I think. This is actually a beautiful sock. I wish I had not. Wish I had finished these and was wearing them. Not right this moment, but you know what I mean. The yarn for this is beautiful. I think I even have the tag. Yes. Squoosh Fiber Arts. What's this yarn? It's a cashmere blend. It's a merino cashmere nylon, and it's in the colorway Tuscany. And it's super pretty. And I did actually start a little cuff of the second one of these, so I should just have to find the pattern for that. But oh, and there's other sets of needles in here. Interesting. I think you go down a needle size somewhere along this pattern, maybe, or maybe I went down a needle size for the foot. I don't know. Because there's 2 different needle sizes in that bag. And 20, which is the last one in the bag. So it looks like I think I have 20 unfinished pairs. This last one is a pair called the Crystalline Socks by, who are these by? Kaylin Meyer. Again, I got 1 sock done. Very pretty with this sort of slip stitch crystal kind of pattern. This is a nice yarn to work with as well. This was Yummy Yarn Studio is the name of the company, and it's a merino tencel blend, which is what gives it that, gives it beautiful shine, that tencel in there. Yeah, and there's 1 of those as well. So that's my humongous pile. I'm now surrounded by half-finished socks. Great. So I'm going to try and work on some of those this summer. I'm going to try hard to keep myself from casting on any new ones, at least till a couple of these pairs are finished. So what else do I need to talk about? Oh, quickly, I had a giveaway in the group last week for the Phoenix hat. And we had 5 entries for that giveaway. So I did a random number draw, entries 2 through 6, because number 1 was me. And number 6 won, and that is Nitty Turtle 3. She's Trish from London, Ontario. So Trish, I will be sending you through Ravelry a copy of that pattern. Congratulations. I want to remind you about the cowl that we have going on in our Ravelry group. It's the Late to the Party cowl. We have about, I think there's about a dozen finished projects already in our finished objects thread. It runs till the end of June, so you still got plenty of time to participate. If you haven't, if you're working on a project, keep going and get that project in before the end of June. And all the information, if you want to check it out and haven't already, is in the first post of the thread. Both, I think, the chatter thread. Well, in the chatter thread, all the information about the cowl is in that first post. I'm not going to bother with that today because I'm running out of time here. I had a quick question that I can answer. Lorna, who's Porcupine Knitter on Ravelry, was asking me about my nail polish, which from last week's episode, which is the same polish I still have on. I should change that. I love nail polish, and like many things in my life, when I like something, I collect a lot of it. So I have 2 boxes of nail polish colors, lots and lots of it. And she asked what this one was, and so I thought I'd just show you. It is Quo, which is a Shoppers Drug Mart, I believe, Quo by Orly. I think it's a Shoppers Drug Mart line, and the color is Super Cute, is the name of that color, which is sort of fitting. So there you go. Is that everything? So the last thing, really quickly, I was going to tell you, although you can't see it very well, if I stand up a little bit, you might be able to see, but this top that I'm wearing is one of my favorite things I have ever knit myself. It is the Waving Lace Top by Hoagie Locatelli, and I knit it out of Rowan Pure Life Revive, which is a DK yarn. I think the pattern actually calls for fingering weight, so I heavily modified it to size it up to a different weight of yarn, but it turned out fantastically. And this yarn is 36% silk, 36% cotton, and 25% rayon, and it's recycled fiber. It felt it wasn't the most pleasant yarn to knit with, and it had a bit of a weird smell when I knit it, but that went away after a washing or 2, and it softened up beautifully, and it is so comfortable, and it's great for summer weather, and I love it. So yeah, I thought I'd just mention that. I think that is everything. I have shown you the insanity of my unfinished socks, so I am gonna say goodbye now and pull out a pair of these and start working on them, or maybe I'll go back to trying. I should go back to trying to finish my test knit first. So, but thanks for joining me. Again, if you're new to the podcast and you like what you see, please do consider subscribing on YouTube. And if you enjoyed today's episode, give it a thumbs up and come over and check out our Ravelry group. And that is all. I will see you all next week.